Hey guys, it's Nathan with the Tech and Brews Chat, episode number 23. I have a returning guest, Mr. Matt Campana, a
What's up,
longtime
guys?
friend, past customer from other lives of security sales. Matt, great to have you back, man.
Yeah, it's good to be back, man. This is fun. These are some of my favorite times. So
Yeah, good to go, dude. So, hey guys, this is a bit of a mini series of the Tech and Brew Chat series called DevHacks. So, for the first DevHack of today, we're going to actually be diving into a very common app used by a lot of project managers, developers, by Mr. Matt Campana himself, to kind of combine the messiness of Agile and Waterfall methodology all into Trello. So, Matt, I'm just going to let you take it away, man. Just kind of tell us a little bit about how you used it, what we're going to go through today, and yeah, just lay the scene, man.
absolutely. I come from the Fortune 100 space, the Fortune 500 space, small medium business, and the current place I work is about $500 million company. Fantastic company. Really enjoy working there. And the thing is that as these companies grow and scale, sometimes you run across uh, issues with project management in that there's no one doing project management. So it gets really awkward, right? People want deliverables, like they have requirements, but no one's giving you the framework for how to do that. So I really want to show you right now how I use a tool called Trello. That's Trello.com. So you probably heard of it. Trello is a phenomenal tool. There's about 500 ways you could use this product, but I want to show you the way that I used it. I'm actually going to start with integration. So I was doing an integration at a company where I didn't know how to code, I didn't know the subject matter, and I didn't understand what needed to be done. So I recognized I absolutely need a tool, number one, to go over what the assets are, okay, and what the things that I need to even know before I can get those deliverables done are. And then I had to sync up with 3 teams to actually get this product done. So when I came from larger company, it's waterfall, right? It's if this is done, then that's done, then that's done. You watching this probably are not going to run into that. You're probably going to run into, hey, here's our project. Is it done yet? Right? like, okay, I'm actually freaking out right now. So, how are we going to do this? The way you get to the next level of your project management is recognize there is no one that's going to save you. Okay. And I'm being very blunt because I had to be blunt with myself. I had to recognize there's no one that's going to come in and bail me out. I have to learn how these tools work.
You got to own it. Yeah.
A little notepad. I do that on my daily tasks, but come on, Nathan, you know what I'm talking about.
Heck yeah, man. Absolutely.
All right. So I'm going to explain this to you. So sometimes you have options on how you run a project, and sometimes you get new requirements in the middle of the project and you just go, okay, if I'm using a notepad, I'm not going to be able to follow up on everything. If I do just emails, that's not going to keep it organized. What we have to do is use a tool like Trello, okay? And I organize my projects into 5 buckets. Now, I'm showing you a project that's totally completed, all right? And again, this is kind of traditional, kind of agile methodology, and it's hybrid on purpose because most people don't understand what the word sprint is. Traditionally, a sprint is a series of deliverables that are in a column that are ready to be worked on, that are only being worked on, and then you have a backlog of everything else you're going to work on. Sometimes we don't have that luxury, right? Everyone says, we need all of these done now. So to mitigate that problem, I have created these 6 very specific and very timely project boards that are going to let us understand where are we in the development process. So Trello is a very nice board where I can invite people to collaborate, okay, with this invite button here, and join me on these tasks. So let's just go through the topics and we'll go from there. First part of any good project is business analysis. And you may not be a business analyst, you may not be traditional there, but you're going to have something that you need to get done. And the number one thing you need to do is define that. What am I actually trying to accomplish? That is going to go into the requirements section. Sometimes things stay in the requirements section because they end up not being something you have to do. So for example, we have a piece here that says report acceptance per contracted base upon the client. What does that mean? I don't know. I was probably very tired when I said that. But I do understand that there was a report that I needed to get the user base to accept, right? And that was a piece of requirement that allowed me to go to the different members of the business and say, hey, this is a report. Is this something that's useful for you? I went to the 5 different business units I was working with, and it turned out no one needed that. Another one is, hey, I have to design an encryption process and allow this gentleman to approve that. He's our CISO, our system admin, right? Mm-hmm. And so that stayed in requirements because I never got a response on that one Not because it wasn't important. It was just something that wasn't required back then. Okay, and so that's that. So requirements is any little thing that you're going to put in there. So for example,
It's just your giant like rain barrel catching everything that could happen in the project.
Got it. You got it. So for example, there's a gentleman that I had to run an import to, and you saw that little card. It's called a card. That card allows me to drag and drop it between statuses. That's how I use this. This is a visual, logical organization of the specific tasks that are required to get your project done. So you want to place those in the appropriate slot. Okay. Once I've gathered the requirements, and I worked with this gentleman, Robert, he's a great guy in our company. I said, okay, I know that I need to work with him on an import. Let's go to the design phase. So I'd bring that over, okay? And I would drop that into the design phase. Design phase is, hey, what are the things I need to do next, right? So I realized, hey, if I'm gonna have a file import, I need some files from an FTP, okay? I need credentials for that. These little task lists are things that let you have kind of subtasks within an overall concept, right? In this case, it's a file import. What are required for that? What's the destination server? What are the things that need to come in and go out? Those pieces are truly excellent and allow you to understand what's going on with that specific piece of work, okay? The next thing I like about this is when you work with Trello, you can add comments and you can call out different people. So if I needed to talk to my friend here, John, I could tag him here and say, hey, what do you think, right? And so then I would hit save and it would send it to him. He would get a push notification. That lets us collaborate on a very specific part of a project without me having to have some email that's out of context. He doesn't know it's in the design phase. Maybe he thinks it's in the testing phase. He has 9 other things on his plate. So you can go through these cards. There's basic things like, hey, who's the member? You can get into labels. I don't go that deep. Due date is important. And then there's other actions like you can keep a watch on it. If it's somebody else's card that you know you're a part of, you do that watch, you're going to be a part of that. Okay, next. When you're done in your design phase, you're going to go into your prototype phase. That can look very different for a lot of different people. So if you're doing a report, for example, okay, prototype would simply mean that you are an analyst and you submitted that design, okay, to maybe a developer, right? And so they're going to be working on and tinkering with it, and then they would release it to you, and you may be looking at it and go, yeah, this meets my specs, right? This prototype phase is not for user testing, okay? This is really more for you to take a look at that and take a look at what that is for you. Does it meet your requirements, right? That's important, okay? And Nathan has done a phenomenal job when I've worked with him in the past. It says, hey, okay, this is kind of like what they were thinking. Does this meet your requirements? This allows you to go back to the design phase. You say, hey, we prototyped it. Doesn't really look like what we need it to be. It's not meeting our requirements. You would drop it back to design, okay? Back to the drawing board, so to speak. Now, once you've prototyped it and it looks good to you, then that file import, for example, will then move into the testing and UAT. UAT stands for user acceptance testing. You would test that piece. You would go through, you could add more comments. You could add off checklists, right? You can create other checklists. You can actually create an additional checklist. So this would be testing phase, right? Send to users, boom. That's right in there. So now you know, hey, my go live checklist was good, but my testing is not, okay? And so then that way you can track that item as it goes through the life cycle of the project. This does seem a little more traditional, but we don't have any dependencies. We don't have any requirements. There's nothing hanging off of one or the other. You can totally do that in this app, but I keep it super simple. Think about it like this. You're moving sticky notes across a board on your wall, okay? But those sticky notes can contain files. You can chat with people about them, and so on and so forth. It's a very powerful method. Once you submit it to the users for testing, whether it's a user or a vendor, right, or internal business person or another IT group, you would then be able to say, okay, I've got testing, and I am not in the testing phase. I'm now in the review phase, right? What you're looking for is user sign-off, okay? Proper software development lifecycle. You went from the gathering requirements, getting the design of it, okay, then prototyping it, seeing that it meets that, then saying, okay, we're in the testing phase now. And then once you're done and it's completed in UAT, which just means, hey, I'm ready for somebody to touch this thing, see what it looks like, see if it meets our requirements, drop it into review, all right? When you drop that into review, that's up to the business to tell you yes or no, it's got to go back to testing, right? Oh, hey, our file didn't work the way we thought it would, back to the testing board, right? So we then drop that card back. You might lose a little progress there. But as you can see, eventually okay, eventually you want to get to go live. So you'll see these
Gotcha.
awesome little things here. Final development and testing, right? We have checklists. There's certain items that are required for that piece to be done. You go, okay, I've got to sit down with Jenny to make sure that that's reviewed. Well, I see that that's only 9 out of 10, so that's not really done, right? That would still be in my testing bucket. Never move anything into go live support until you're finished. And to be honest, folks, this project was massive. It controls the benefits for the entire company, right? It's a file feed that says whether or not Joe and Susie and Sally get the different benefits that they have. I knew nothing about coding. I knew nothing about the requirements. I didn't know what an HSA was. I didn't know what deductions are, okay? This board and this methodology helps me not get so hung up on the minutia of trying to be agile versus Kanban and all this other kind of stuff. It's just, hey, here's the 6 phases. What do I have to do right now today? This helped me stay on top of it. And I'm really hoping that this can help you, because it has changed the way that I manage my projects on a daily basis. And it's, like I said, sometimes it's an eviscerated pathway of beauty. It's
A
very
little flush from the beer there. Yeah. Heck yeah. No, so I think it's so interesting because I think for a lot of companies that when they're trying to attract talent, or they're just trying to put up a very sexy, like we're in the cutting edge game of being an agile, it's much more of a marketing and recruiting portrayal rather than actual process. And I feel like the beauty of this is that it retains the bones of some of the waterfall methodology, in the sense that you have, more traditional process from the outside. When you dive into it, the fact that you're able to flow back and forth, in between different iterations, and be able to actually add on different guys, whoever you have, up there on the team visible. I mean, that's awesome, right? So you're able to interact, go through the process as it's needed. Maybe it's in testing, maybe it's not approved yet, so you can bump it back to the prototype card. I think it's really interesting. I think a question that I have, Matt, is, let's just say that you were kind of alluding to it, throwing the code over the fence to QA or to ops. How would this? I know the throwing over the fence metaphor is much more of the divided, developers over here, ops is over here. How would this work in a more DevOps savvy setting where developers and operations are actually working together?
Absolutely. So here's what you have to do. Everybody's got to be on this tool, okay? Because here's what's going to happen. If you can sync up with your entire project, with your entire project team, okay? We have become now very DevOps, very IT, very separation of duty centric, okay? We have a business analysis arm. We have people that are doing DevOps. We have specific application owners. So if you can get everybody on this, you can use the wonderful thing called labels, okay? That label will tell us whose side of the fence is this on right now, right? So because a lot of times we know that there's not just going to be one project manager, is there? I mean, if that were the case, then we wouldn't really have to do anything as far as managing our time. You probably wouldn't be watching this video right now. So you have to get everybody on the platform, and you can be the champion of that. You can start there. It's your responsibility to make people excited about something that you know is going to work, okay? So you have to own this bad boy. Get on YouTube. Get on Google. At the end of the day, to answer your question, Nathan, the only way that it's going to work is if people believe in the technology, okay? It has nothing to do with the nice, cool tool, snazzy. I hate project management tools that are snazzy. No, I want a practical, functional project management tool. All right. And when you do things like, hey, please go to the Hourglass, in this case was the vendor, go to the Hourglass board. I put something in the design for you. You're tagged on the card. Can you let me know what you think? Comment out, add comments, man. Turn on your notifications. I do this for a massive project. I have a $7 million project I'm working on right now. Okay. That's our budget. And we will only be able to work with our vendors, internal, DevOps, okay, business users, even taxation is on it. So we have people, and that's how we have a conversation. So that's how I would do it, Nathan.